Hi, it's Bishop Mark, and we begin chapter 6 today. So we're going to do Luke chapter 6, verses 1 to 5. So we reached chapter 6. Congratulations. We are getting through the Bible, but I hope that you're seeing how it all kind of fits together. I'm in another spot today. It's just another part of my room. Behind me is a statue of Mary, God's mother, Jesus' mother. And so let's continue now. Now, this video and the next video are once again about the Pharisees watching Jesus, but these are things that he does on the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day. We spoke about that, but let's remind you. So God said, keep holy the Sabbath day. So for the Jewish people, that's Saturday. For us, the holy day of the week is Sunday. But the Jewish people kept holy the Sabbath day because God told them to. Now, if you're going to keep the day holy, then the Jews would not work. But over the years, since the Bible was written and those laws came into being, the Jewish people had many other things written about defining what is work and what is not work. If you're supposed to not work, well, you have to know what is work and what is not work. But it was very, very strict, very narrowly defined at the time of Jesus. Okay, you can listen for that as I read verse 1 of chapter 6. Listen for, is this work or is this not work? Okay, here we go. While he was going through a field of grain on a Sabbath, his disciples were picking the heads of grain, rubbing them in their hands, and eating them. Is that work? So let's describe what is happening. So they're in some kind of grain field. So is it wheat? Is it barley? What is it? There are some translations. So you know that the Bible was not written in English, right? And so this is all a translation. So it was in one language, comes another one. And there's some translations, like this one called the King James Version, that says it was corn. But it's not corn. Why is it not corn? Because the corn wasn't in that area at the time of Jesus. So, but it's some kind of grain. Now, what they were doing with the grain is they were picking it. So it's on a stalk, right? And then there's the grain at the top. There's the seeds, kind of. So they were picking it, rubbing it in their hands, and then they were eating the grain because they're hungry. Okay, does that work? Well, the Jewish people, with all those other extra laws, would say, yes, that's work. You picked it, that's work. You prepared it, that's work. And then you ate something you didn't prepare before the Sabbath, so that's a bad thing too. So they would say that Jesus and his disciples were not allowed to do that because it was sinful to work on the Sabbath. So, how do they know this? They know this because they're watching him. They're spying on Jesus. They're taking notes. They're taking their notes and saying, oh, what's he doing? What's he doing? And so now these people, they confront Jesus. They go up against him and they ask him. Well, let's see what they ask him. So we're beginning again on 6:2. Some Pharisees said, why are you doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath? Why are you doing what is unlawful? So what's against the law? That's what unlawful means. What's against the law? So they want to get their notes back to their leaders, right? So they want the details. So they say, now we saw you, Jesus. You ate a seed on the Sabbath that you picked yourself and your disciples did too. Oh, you're very, very bad, Jesus. Why did you do that? That's what's happening. So Jesus said to them in reply, have you not read what David did when he and those who were with him were hungry? How he went into the house of God, took the bread of offering, which only the priest could lawfully eat, ate of it, and shared it with his companions. So our Lord Jesus is very smart. Well, we both know he's smart, and so instead of answering their question directly, instead he does what the Pharisees and the scholars of the law do. They debate the Bible. So he's essentially saying, you are accusing me of doing something wrong because I was hungry and my disciples were hungry. But if you're accusing me of that, then you should be accusing King David of doing something similar. This is kind of a way that they argued back then, that they debated back then, that they discussed things back then. If you could kind of go over them about a point of law, then they would have to answer that. It's just a style of speaking that he knew the Pharisees did, and so he was engaging them in that. He was going back at them at that. Now, the story he's referring to, do you remember David? So Jesus was born in Bethlehem, the city of David, and that he was supposed to be the descendant of David, the Messiah had to be a descendant of David. Well, David was this great king who was admired by the Jews. And there is a story in 1 Samuel where he goes into the temple and he takes the bread that only the priests should eat, and he gave it to his companions, and they ate it because they were hungry. So this is a way that Jesus is arguing the Pharisees. He's not answering their questions. He's just saying, well, how about David? He was hungry. You're going to blame him? Because Jesus knows that the Pharisees and the scribes are never going to blame David. So he gives them that argument. And ultimately, he's just trying to say, these rules that have been made up since the Bible, they got to go. They're just too much to keep. Now, remember at the beginning I asked you to think, is it work? Well, imagine you couldn't pick an apple because it was Sunday. You couldn't eat an apple when you were hungry. If it's right there in front of you on a tree, you can't pick it. Well, that's the kind of thing that was happening. And Jesus wants them to worship God and not the rules. God, not the rules. So he's a good Jewish person, but he follows the rules that are in the Bible and not all these extra things. That's what's happening here. Okay, this passage ends with verse 5. It says, then he said to them, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Okay. Now that would have had their heads spinning. Do you know that expression, head spinning? It's like, whoa! Imagine they're there taking their notes, right? Oh, you wait on the Sabbath, you bad boy. And then he says, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Well, we know Jesus is the Messiah. We know he's the Son of God. We know he is God and man. We know that he's both, right? He's fully human, fully God. But they don't know that. And so when he says the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath, it's like, what's he talking about? Oh, let's write notes on that one. Son of Man, is that what he said? Yeah. Well, he is the Son of Man. In other words, he is the Messiah. It's one of the titles for it. And he is the Lord of the Messiah of the Sabbath. He is God. They don't know that, and they're just writing furiously their notes. Okay, now there are 2 times that the Pharisees called Jesus on about the Sabbath right in a row. So the next video will be the next one. Okay, we're just going to continue this story next time. Peace to you.